The shrill ring of an old rotary phone, a sound almost forgotten, shattered the silence of a West Virginia night, a darkness so profound it felt ancient. The winding roads, usually quiet, now held an ominous echo. Something was terribly wrong at the Harris house. A sense of unease hung heavy in the air, clinging to the shadows around the porch light. Deputies arrived, their headlights cutting through the darkness, to find the front door ajar, an unsettling invitation into the unknown. The air inside was thick with dread, a palpable sense of foreboding that settled deep in their chests. Inside, Tanya Harris lay lifeless on her bedroom floor, a still figure amidst the quiet of her home. There were no signs of struggle, no forced entry to suggest a violent intruder. It was as if death had simply walked in. The scene was eerily pristine, almost staged, a macabre tableau of domestic tranquility shattered. It was as if death had slipped in unnoticed, a silent specter leaving no trace but its victim. The medical examiner, after a thorough initial assessment, couldn't determine a clear cause of death, adding another layer of mystery to the already perplexing scene. The lack of obvious trauma left investigators baffled, scratching their heads as they surveyed the scene. Neighbors, whispering behind cupped hands, described Tanya as quiet and kind, a woman who kept to herself. She seemed to have no known enemies, no one who would wish her harm in this close-knit community. As dawn broke, painting the sky with hues of pink and gold, the house became a crime scene, bathed in the cold light of day. Yellow tape, a stark symbol of intrusion and loss, was stretched tight against the rolling hills. Investigators meticulously searched for clues, combing through every room, every drawer, every detail. But the most crucial piece of the puzzle, Tanya's cell phone, was conspicuously missing, vanished without a trace. Whatever happened that night, the answers seemed to have vanished with her phone, swallowed by the darkness. A mystery, as deep and shrouded as the Appalachian Mountains themselves, had just begun to unfold. News of Tanya's death spread quickly through the small, tight-knit community, casting a long shadow of fear and uncertainty. The digital age ensured that information traveled at lightning speed, but Rachel Harris's reaction, fueled by a potent mix of grief and terror, was even faster, almost instantaneous. She went live on Facebook, bypassing traditional media, her fear raw and unfiltered, a desperate cry echoing into the digital void. "They got my sister," she sobbed, her voice trembling. "They're coming for me next." Rachel spoke of secrets, hinting at something sinister, something she and Tanya had witnessed, something they shouldn't have, a dangerous truth that had made them targets. Her warnings were vague, cloaked in fear, yet her terror was palpable, captivating a stunned online audience, drawing them into her nightmare. Law enforcement watched with growing concern, unsure if this was a genuine cry for help, a vital clue, or simply the unraveling of a grief-stricken mind teetering on the edge. The stream ended abruptly. Rachel's eyes widened in stark terror. A choked gasp escaped her lips, and then, only darkness filled the screen. It was her last known communication, a chilling silence that spoke volumes. Rachel's public plea, now frozen in time, became a haunting digital ghost for investigators, a desperate message preserved in the digital ether. She warned they were coming for her, and her fears became reality. And then, like her sister's phone, Rachel vanished without a trace, leaving behind only questions and a growing sense of dread. To find Rachel, detectives retraced her final hours. The sisters were seen gardening, then shopping at the local market, mundane moments before tragedy. Afterward, Rachel visited a neighbor, agitated and glancing over her shoulder. She mentioned meeting someone to tie up a loose end, and hurried toward the old sycamore tree by the creek. That was the last confirmed sighting of Rachel Harris. Tanya was found dead just before 11 p.m. Rachel's frantic live stream followed soon after. There was a 3-hour window where Rachel's whereabouts were unknown. Investigators searched the area near the Sycamore, finding only muddled footprints. The path home was dark and secluded. Anything could have happened. Rachel's final hours remain a black hole of unanswered questions. The search for Rachel intensified. With every hour that passed, the urgency grew. But she seemed to vanish into the hills, as if swallowed by the ancient Appalachian Mountains. A week later, hope dwindled, but a break in the case emerged. A volunteer, combing through the dense undergrowth, found a weathered shoebox. It was carefully concealed beneath the sprawling roots of an old sycamore tree. Inside, among layers of aged paper and brittle leaves, was a black USB drive, faded Polaroids depicting strangers at what appeared to be an old party, their faces frozen in time, and a letter, its message obscured by a complex code. The USB was immediately sent to the state lab for analysis, while the letter's intricate symbols and patterns eluded detectives, defying any immediate interpretation. The Polaroids, with their grainy texture and faded colors, hinted at secrets and hidden connections from decades past. Detective Harding, a veteran of countless cases, called it someone else's story, a narrative detached from Rachel's disappearance. A time capsule unearthed, filled with fragments of a forgotten past, but with no clear message relevant to the present. The box only deepened the mystery surrounding Rachel. Was this what Rachel was after? Was it the secret she'd tried to expose through her social media livestream? The one that might have put her in danger? The clues offered no easy answers, only more questions, leading the investigation down increasingly complex paths. The past and present were tangled together in a web of intrigue, and the truth, like a ghost, remained hidden just out of reach. The Sycamore, a silent sentinel, kept its secrets buried deep within its roots, guarding the mysteries of the past. The USB drive held a single, silent video. Shadowy figures meeting in secret, their faces obscured. The coded letter was never cracked. Rachel Harris was never found. Her face faded from missing posters as the case grew cold. Tanya's death remains undetermined, Rachel's disappearance unsolved. The missing phone, the key to it all, was never recovered. The Harris sisters' story became a local legend, whispered in Logan County's hollows. Theories abound. Was it a cover-up, a family secret, or something more sinister? The sycamore tree still stands, guarding its mysteries. In the end, the most haunting stories are the ones that never find an ending. Soft static crackle, the faint hum of a tape recorder. In the aftermath, fragments of the truth surfaced, disjointed, unsettling, and incomplete. Sound effect page turning. Witness statement, June 14, 2012. Mrs. Linda Walker, neighbor. I saw Rachel that night. She was standing by the sycamore, just staring at something in the woods. When I called out, she didn't turn around. I thought she was waiting for someone. Pause, faint echo of footsteps. Police interview, Detective Harris with Tanya's friend Caleb Miller. She called me around midnight, said she found something she wasn't supposed to. She sounded scared. Only that she'd hidden it somewhere safe. She hung up before I could ask more. Sound effect, distant thunder. Evidence log #77, recovered from Rachel's bedroom. Beep. A torn photograph, edges scorched, only half remains. Rachel's unmistakable eyes, and beside her, a shadowed figure, face scratched out. Soft click like a tape being rewound. Anonymous tip line, June 16th. They know more than they're telling. The phone's not lost. Check the river under the old bridge, but hurry, before it's gone. Brief silence, then police radio chatter fades in. Each statement, each piece of evidence deepened the mystery. The more investigators uncovered, the less sense it all made. Truth, it seems, is no less elusive than the missing sisters themselves. Music swells, tension unresolved. In Logan County, answers slip through your fingers, leaving only fragments and the chilling certainty that someone still knows what happened beneath the sycamore. In the weeks that followed, the investigation seemed to stall. But then, tucked beneath a loose floorboard in Rachel's room, detectives uncovered something no one expected, an unopened letter addressed simply, "For Tanya, if any." flowers, and what secret were the sisters protecting? Visual: the interrogation room. Harsh overhead lights cast long shadows. The clock ticks. Detective Carla Simmons sits across from a nervous man, hands trembling, eyes darting to the mirrored glass. A tape recorder clicks on. Detective Simmons: "Let's start from the beginning, Mr. Ellis. You said you last saw Rachel and Tanya the night they disappeared?" Ellis: "Yeah, I saw them at the store. Rachel asked if I'd seen her mom, that's all." Detective Simmons: "But you told Officer Reed you were at home that night. Which is it?" Ellis looks away, jaw tightening. The camera lingers on the mirrored glass. Behind it, shadowy figures observe. Ellis: I forgot. It was late. I went out for cigarettes. That's when I saw them." Detective Simmons: "Did you bring Rachel flowers? Several witnesses remember someone leaving lilies on the Harris porch." A flashback, an anonymous hand, placing white lilies on the porch, face obscured by darkness. Ellis: "No, I don't even like flowers." Detective Simmons: "Mr. Ellis, we found your fingerprints on an envelope in Rachel's room. How do you explain that?" Ellis's hands clench tighter, knuckles white. Ellis: I used to help them with homework. Maybe I touched it then." Detective Simmons: "The letter was written the night they vanished. You weren't supposed to be there." Tension thickens. A bead of sweat rolls down Ellis's temple. His eyes flick to the door, then back to Simmons. Ellis: I just wanted to make sure they were okay. Rachel was scared. She said someone was following her." Detective Simmons: "Did she say who?" Ellis: "No, but she said don't trust the one who brings flowers." The mirrored glass. Detective Simmons' reflection merges with the shadowy figures behind it. Detective Simmons: "Are you protecting someone, Mr. Ellis, or was it you all along?" Ellis's silence lingers, heavy in the room. The tape recorder whirs, capturing the moment. As the interview ends, more questions rise than answers. Ellis's story is riddled with holes. The fingerprints, the late-night visit, the knowledge of the letter, each detail pulling the investigation deeper into the web of secrets surrounding the Harris sisters. In Logan County, trust is a fragile thing, and under the interrogation light, everyone has something to hide. Visual: a faded yearbook page opens, faces circled in red. The camera pans down dimly lit high school corridors, lockers slamming shut, whispers echoing. In the background, a shadowy figure lingers, always just out of focus. Voiceover: a new voice emerges. Jenna Matthews, former classmate of Rachel and Tanya. Her words tremble on a scratchy tape recording, the sound of rain tapping against a window. Jenna, voice distorted for anonymity: "People always said the Harris sisters were close. Closer than most. But it was more than that. They had this pact. I remember senior year, after the homecoming dance. They swore they'd never let anyone come between them, no matter what. Not friends, not family, not even him." Visual: flashbacks. Rachel and Tanya huddled together in a stairwell, exchanging whispered promises. A hand-drawn symbol on a notebook, quickly hidden as a teacher walks by. A blurred figure, face obscured, watching from the end of the hallway. Jenna: "There was someone who kept showing up, not just at school, at the diner, at the football games, everywhere. We all thought he was just another loner, but he always seemed to know where they'd be. I saw him slip a note into Rachel's locker once. She tore it up before anyone could read it." The camera lingers on an old group photo: Rachel, Tanya, Jenna, and a half-visible student in the corner, face turned away from the lens. Jenna: "The night before they disappeared, Rachel told me, if anything happens, remember the pact. Someone from before, they're not done with us." I thought she was being dramatic. Now I'm not so sure. Visual: the yearbook photo burns slowly at the edges, curling in on itself. The shadowy figure grows sharper, stepping out of the past and into the present investigation. Voiceover: Jenna's statement cracks the case wide open. The sisters' secret pact, a mysterious watcher from their past, and a warning left unheeded. In Logan County, the ghosts of high school never really fade. They just wait for the right moment to return. Visual: a black screen flickers to life with bursts of static. Glitchy overlays ripple across the frame as a jagged audio waveform pulses in the center. The faint glow of computer monitors illuminates a dark lab where investigators huddle around a bank of screens, faces obscured by shadows. For months, Rachel's final hours were thought to be lost, a digital silence where answers should have been. But late one night, a forensic analyst, combing through deleted files on Rachel's old phone, found something, a corrupted fragment from a Facebook Live that never aired. The screen splits. On one side, a pixelated thumbnail of Rachel's face, frozen mid-sentence. On the other, code scrolling as the file is reconstructed. The audio crackles, then plays. Rachel's shaky voice, barely above a whisper. "If you're watching this, it means he found me. Please, Tanya, don't come looking. I know what I saw. I know what he did." Suddenly, her words cut out. A chilling, inhuman whisper slithers through the static, a voice almost too warped to understand. Investigators slow the playback, enhancing the audio. Back to the Sycamore. Never alone. In the background, a rhythmic sound rises, metal scraping against metal, echoing like a chain dragged across concrete. The investigators pause the audio, replaying the fragment again and again. One analyst leans in. "That's not feedback. That's real. Someone or something was in the room with her." Close-ups of the waveform, the chilling whisper isolated and looped. The screen flashes, analyzing spectrogram. The metal scraping forms a pattern, matching a sound recorded at the old train yard near the sycamore trees. Rachel's last message, lost and nearly erased, now resurrected and echoing down the wires. A warning, a plea, and a clue, hidden in the digital noise, waiting for someone to listen. The lab lights flicker as the investigators trade uneasy glances. Outside, rain hammers against the windows, and the mystery deepens. What really happened under the sycamore, and who or what still waits in the static? Visual. A dimly lit evidence board dominates the frame, its surface crowded with photographs, handwritten notes, and newspaper clippings. Red string weaves between tacked-up documents, a faded restraining order, a battered shoebox filled with torn Polaroids, and a stack of freshly transcribed witness statements. Detective Simmons stands silhouetted by the glow of a desk lamp, his face hidden as he methodically connects one thread to the next. A close-up reveals his hands pinning a new printout, a still from the reconstructed Facebook Live, next to Rachel's last known location. The camera lingers on Simmons' eyes, narrowed in fierce concentration. He mutters under his breath, replaying the timeline, the night Rachel vanished, the cryptic warning, and the chain of events that followed. Cut to a flashback montage, a judge stamping the restraining order, Rachel clutching the shoebox to her chest, a neighbor glancing nervously out a rain-streaked window. Simmons overlays witness statements on the board, each line a puzzle piece, each voice a sliver of the truth. The music swells as Simmons traces the red string from the restraining order to the shoebox, then to a new witness account, a late-night sighting near the sycamore trees, and a figure dragging something heavy toward the old train yard. His breath catches. The pattern is clear now. Rachel wasn't just running from a threat. She was protecting someone, or something. He steps back, the board illuminated in the darkness, the connections glowing like veins. Simmons' realization hangs heavy in the air. The motive was never about revenge. It was about silencing the past, and anyone who got too close to exposing it. A final close-up. Simmons' hand hovers over the evidence board, trembling slightly. In the silence, the sound of rain intensifies, and the camera pans to the window, where a shadow flickers, watching from outside. The detective knows he's not alone in following the truth. And now, there's no turning back. The dawn brings the promise of new beginnings.